Sarah Kelly,
Cameron Canduff.
welcome to CamTalks.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much indeed. How are you doing today?
Oh, apart from the fact that it's the normal pre-Alderney week drizzle out there, the boat's in. That's a good thing.
Looks a bit of
For
chaos
everyone.
down at the supermarket, doesn't it?
Chaos down at the harbour, but still managed to get here on time. So that's not bad, is it?
In it, yeah. What I love about the boat day is it reminds me of COVID. Like the people in the UK were losing their shit. I was like, guys, everyone relax.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Exactly.
There'll be another restock coming soon.
We live through it every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, because every Wednesday the boat comes in.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday it's starting to look a little bit shaky, whether or not, we've still got bread on the shelves or I mean, how long have you lived on Alderney for? Because
well, quite a long
I've
time.
known you my whole life.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been here since October 1999. So what's that going to be? That's nearly 26 years, isn't it?
Blimey, wow.
Yeah, I came for 2. Thought, come and get a bit of career and experience in a small jurisdiction on my CV, and been here ever since. Apart from a little trip to Guernsey where I qualified as a Guernsey advocate for a couple of years. But 20.
You have to go to Guernsey sometimes, don't you?
Do you know, it's all right.
It's all right. It's a bit
It's
bigger
okay.
than here.
Bit bigger, you
yeah.
know, but no, it's all right. So we had a nice 2 years in Guernsey while I qualified as an advocate, and then came back to take up the role in the court
Wow.
again. So
Well, before we get into the legal systems and how all that works, where did you grow up? Where's home?
home. Oh, that's interesting. So I grew up in and around Hampshire, Basingstoke, that sort of area. And then my mum became a relief manager for Courage Breweries. So we travelled around quite a bit, and then settled in South East London when I was about 8 or 9. So I suppose South East London, if I was
I thought I recognised an accent.
There's a little bit of an accent, even worse when I go back to South East London. So I'd say South East London particularly is home, but probably spent more time out of South East London now than I ever lived there.
Yeah, of course.
Which is obviously what happens as you get older. And I've probably lived here longer than anywhere else. So
aren't we lucky for it?
Yeah,
And
well,
I'm very grateful.
I'm lucky.
Yeah, well, I think all of us feel very, very lucky on this
Yeah.
island. That's all I keep getting on this podcast. Everyone's just like, we're so lucky.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
so lucky. And it does make you think, because, I mean, I've recently moved back to London. I spent about 2 years here. I came here for like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, I might just stay for a bit.
Yeah.
But going back to London now, it's just so chaotic.
Yeah.
I'm so used to being here where when I hear a siren, I'm always like, oh no, who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
And now I get back to London, I'm like hearing sirens all the time. I'm like, you don't know
Just
them, Cam.
blasé.
Yeah, there's someone random. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Do you miss anything about the city life?
I do, although I know I couldn't live there now. Well, unless I was, really stonking rich and I could live on the river. But I mean, that's not
right,
gonna-
yeah.
unless I win the lottery and I don't play it. So I doubt that's going to happen. But I couldn't live and work and do all that sort of stuff anymore. I've way past that. I've done my time of commuting in London. Thank you.
You're done.
Done.
You're done.
I get up in the morning, go to my office. That's enough.
Wow. So you grew up in Southeast
Yep.
London, and then you went to university?
No, I am one of those strange folk as a lawyer that left school at 16. Not much of an O-level to my name, and got a job in a shop.
What?
I got a job in a shop selling. In those days, it was sort of like trendy clothes, like bomber jackets and things like that, and fake leather jeans. And then I sort of thought, oh, I better get a proper job after doing that a couple of years, and I applied for an administration job in the court service, and that's how I started in law. I just really worked my way through all the courses, and then became a lawyer when I was 28, 29.
Wow.
So yeah,
Interesting. What drew you into the judicial?
judicial.
What drew you into that?
It just seemed a nice fit. I was pretty logical, and I mean, I say I didn't have any legal training before I got my first job in the court service, and then after seeing how it all worked and everything, it seemed to be quite a nice fit for me. Logical, bit of common sense. I had to do all of my qualifications while working. That was pretty hard, but got there in the end.
Were you working in the shop, or was it?
No. That was when I was working in the court service. So I did various courses to get me enough points to do a part-time law degree, and I'd moved up to Birmingham by that time as a court clerk, advising the magistrates on their powers and things like that. So I did my law degree part-time. I was really annoyed because it was Birmingham Polytechnic, and I was quite proud of that. And then, of course, all the polytechnics changed to universities, didn't they? So I got a degree from the University of Central England, but I really wanted a Birmingham Poly degree.
Well, you see, that's
quite
funny
liked
because
it.
my generation love universities,
Yeah,
so I couldn't even
yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
What was it like moving up north?
Well, I packed up my little bedroom from my mum's house in a little van and drove up to Birmingham and rented myself this house with no central heating. And I'm
Ooh,
used to London
I was
temperatures.
gonna say,
That was cold. Turned up first day on the job, really settled in. I mean, Birmingham is a fantastic city,
mhm.
so friendly. In fact, there's a story that I've told on many occasions where the first weekend that I was there, you sort of go and suss out the local area, and everyone kept saying hello to me. So I thought, oh God, I must look like somebody who lives here because I don't know why they're all saying hello to me. I was used to the London head down, don't talk to anyone, and it just so happened that it was just a very friendly neighbourhood who likes to say
Mm.
hello. So it stood us in good stead for here.
And they do have quite a fun accent.
They have a fun accent.
Can you do a Birmingham accent? Is that?
I know I can't.
I don't think we have any Birmingham listeners. I mean, if there's anyone listening from Birmingham right now,
Well, if anyone's listening from Birmingham, are you all right?
oh, you're all right, all right. Well, all we now know Birmingham for is like Peaky Blinders, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that
exactly.
probably did quite a lot for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe not in a good way.
Well, it's history.
It's
It
history.
is history. And you know
Yeah.
what I love? 'Cause I was in Manchester for 8 years, and so
Oh,
and
another
the
lovely city.
north of England is just
Yeah.
I just love it so much. They are friendlier than London.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I'm afraid it's true as much as it hurts me to say it.
Yeah. Although
Um,
I don't think there's anywhere friendlier than Alderney.
that is very true.
Yeah, I cannot go around this island anymore without being, not stuck, but like in a conversation for 20 minutes here,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you move around the corner, another 20
yeah,
minutes
yeah.
there. It's stark difference, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. It's great. And I was single woman here on my own for about 8 years, and I never felt safer than here
Mm.
because you are safe. My door was unlocked, windows open. I wouldn't do that in a city. I wouldn't go out with friends and then just make my way home down the hill. I'm sure there are safe places, but your mindset's slightly different as a single woman. So you're sort of always looking to see how
Mm.
safe you are. And here, perfect.
I
It's
really
brilliant.
appreciate that. And I didn't really appreciate that until probably quite recently when I've spoken to some of my female friends about, and I think there was that awful murder of Sarah Everard
Yeah, yeah,
a few years ago now, and that really like made me aware of the fact that oh yeah, I don't actually find it scary walking
yeah,
around by
yeah,
myself, but yeah, so you do get that kind
yeah,
of feeling when you're back in London
yeah,
now, and sadly London's getting a bit more stabby.
yeah. Afraid so.
You
I'm
can't really
afraid so.
wear nice jewelry anymore,
No,
and it's and then
no.
you go back to Alderney, it's like, yeah, keys in the engine, doors open,
Yeah,
and you're like, this is just it's amazing, isn't it?
it is.
So when you're working in the legal system, what was your job? Like, you're an advisor.
Yep. So I was a court advisor. Similar system to here. The magistrates were volunteers, obviously from various backgrounds, no legal training, no legal qualifications. So they rely on their clerk to give them that legal advice. They'll hear cases of whatever nature, and it's the job of the clerk to make sure that what they do is within the law that they're considering, that the facts that they are considering are, they've come from some form of evidence, and also help them to formulate their reasons for their decisions. So it's to help the lay judiciary through that system.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you're studying for all this stuff, I mean, do you have to know every single law, or is it more like niche?
It depends. I mean, in fact, when I studied for the Guernsey bar exams, yes, you need to know everything because they could throw everything everything and anything at you. The system in the UK is a little bit more structured. You obviously have a syllabus, etc., and you can sort of gauge from past papers what the most important things they're going to ask you. But in essence, yes, whatever topic you're studying, you should know all the laws.
And like we're talking like, section 44A, this says
Yeah,
this. Does it
yeah.
literally say like thou shalt not kill, or is it like you're not allowed, like what's the law about not murdering someone?
Well, that says that you cannot
Kill
just
someone.
kill someone.
Like
Yes.
literally in black and white.
Yeah, pretty
Wow. I
much.
love the fact
But
that they
there's
have to refer to that as well. Like
yeah, but there are lots of laws where, they're very wordy, and that's why our lawyers sorry, but all the lawyers out there, that's how they make their money, because then they interpret those laws to suit the instructions that they're given by their client. That otherwise, if everything was a done deal, lawyers wouldn't exist.
mm.
Certainly not litigation lawyers anyway. There has to be a little bit of
Well, I haven't got caught up in lawyers yet, although I hear some people
very
scathing
wise.
about them. But I can imagine I watch a lot of court drama,
Yeah.
and I mean, did you ever feel like were there a lot of cases where you felt it went the wrong way, or do you feel like most of the time we're kind of doing the best we can?
Yeah, no. Most of the time, everyone's doing the best they can, and that's the thing with relying on people. They can only make the decisions that they're comfortable to make. Everybody will view things differently. However, if your decision you can reason it out. Doesn't matter if it's different to someone else's. You've got your reasons for making that decision, and as long as they're valid and they come from somewhere, then there can't be any criticism, because that's the whole point of the system.
I mean, it's pretty good that we have a system that will
Yeah.
take you through. And, like you see a lot of these lawyers who are defending top criminals and stuff like this. I mean, does that get a bit icky sometimes?
And also, I think there are lawyers that will do that, and there are lawyers that won't.
Yeah.
And that comes with whatever decision you make in your career path as a lawyer, you tend to sort of either really like the criminal world or you don't. I mean, it's pretty
Really?
much black and white. I loved the criminal law. I did criminal law in Guernsey for one of the law firms there, and I loved it because it was dealing with people. It was dealing, all aspects of life, and I just found that far more interesting than sitting, reviewing contracts and dotting I's and crossing T's. I'm afraid
Yeah.
I was more people-led than paper-led.
No, that makes sense. I can imagine that the level of crime in the Channel Islands is vastly different to
Yes.
that in the UK.
Vastly different,
Yeah.
vastly different. And again, if you in the islands, you've got Jersey, Guernsey, Alderney. They're vastly different between the three.
Right. So Jersey's probably got more
Yeah.
crime because
Yep.
it's bigger.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
Guernsey's
Guernsey,
a
yep.
little bit less. Sark?
The odd one, maybe. I have not.
Is there even a policeman on Sark?
They do have and they also have a prison.
No, they don't.
They do.
What the hell?
It's just a little building that I think you can stand up in, but they do have a prison.
Wow,
But most
interesting.
of their cases would go to Guernsey.
Right.
And they do have a court. They do have a system of which they have, if ever anyone commits a crime.
Is that similar to here then? So I know that we've got our own courts here.
Yes,
But then there's a bigger,
court in
more
Guernsey.
senior court.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That they have more powers to deal with people. So if the court here thinks that the powers they've got are not sufficient to sentence somebody, if they're found guilty, they can then send them to Guernsey, because then Guernsey can impose a greater penalty if that
Wow.
person is convicted.
How are you supposed to do this on Alderney? Because surely you know everyone. And
Yeah,
so
it's tricky.
your job, sorry, to skip forward a few
I was
years,
going to say
many
not-
years.
yeah,
Because when you came to Alderney, you'd already been doing this
absolutely.
in a very,
Absolutely.
bigger place.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the first impression when you found out about sort of the legal system here?
Well, of course, it was very different, because actually where I came from, the magistrates' court, which was all criminal and civil litigation. Here, of course, the job is different. So I came originally as what was called clerk of the court, which had obviously the clerk of the court, as it is described, but also the land registry, company registry, registry of births, deaths and marriages, acting as an advisor to the coroner, who would are the jurats. So it was a very different setup, and also the balance was in favour of the registries, because of course that's the predominant workload. So the court we sat once a month for criminal, and I think they still do. We sat once a month for criminal. So it was a big shift
I can imagine. So the clerk, just to give me a definition, what a clerk is. You're basically just looking after everyone.
Yeah, yeah, making sure that the processes and procedures and the law are followed, and making sure that, people do as they are supposed to in that environment.
That's kind of fun for
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
like you who's
yeah,
just like, okay, very logical.
yeah. No, it is.
Do you get
It's
to
a
wear
good
a
job.
wig?
A hat in the Channel Islands. We have what's
Interesting.
called a toque because, of course, it comes from the French system. So they
Oh,
don't have wigs. We have hats, which are
hats.
called toques.
Do you still have your hat?
I do. Although I'd
Whoa!
like to say, if anyone from Guernsey's watching this, I lent my advocate's robes and hat to a colleague, and I've never seen them since. They borrowed them as they came over from Guernsey, and I don't know where they are now. So
Oh
I'm
no,
just
that
saying, if anybody in Guernsey's got my name on a gown and a
yeah,
hat,
it
please
says
get in
Sarah
touch.
Kelly on the label. Yeah, well, that's a shame as well because you do like to keep little
Yeah,
momentums of
that's
your
right.
time. I mean, are you allowed to talk about any of the cases that you've worked? Or,
No, not and
yeah,
certainly not here because
God no.
obviously,
You'll be
most
seeing them later.
exactly, and so it's not appropriate anyway.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
The good thing about the people that work in the court, the jurats, the girls in the office, they're also confidential because that's how the system works.
That's it.
And you can't have a system that's reliant on that without everybody playing their part. Otherwise, it breaks down, and no one has any confidence in
Yeah.
the system. Then,
And on an island of 2,000 people, I
yeah,
mean, that's just almost impossible
yeah,
to not know the person or not have
yeah,
any connection with the person.
yeah.
Is there a case where if you do know the person, you're not allowed to be in the court?
There's a view to be had. So I as a clerk, you're not the decision maker. That's the jurats. The jurats would have to consider if they sat on that case, would somebody think that they would be biased? So if it's obviously a very close family member, I would imagine they would say, yes, I can't sit on this because it would be seen to be biased because
Mhm.
it's my close family member, be it, son, brother, sister, whatever. Then you go to your neighbours and friends. Well, we could all say that about everybody. We'd never get anyone to sit. So it's got to be a decision that's made considering all options. And there's this phrase which I still use, but it's probably a bit out of date now. What would the man on the Clapham omnibus think? So there was a case in about the 1940s or something where, the view was that if somebody was just sitting at the back of the court, right, or a man was on the Clapham omnibus and he saw this happening, would he think it was fair? And if that's how you can get to your decision, then fine, you can carry on. But if you think, oh no, actually the perception is this isn't fair, this isn't right, then they should stand down.
Interesting. I do know a little bit about this because I had Dougal on
Yeah,
the
well,
show.
there you go.
Were
Yeah,
you working at the same time as Dougal?
definitely.
Wow.
Yeah,
What was that
yeah,
like
great.
seeing him in
No,
his robes and he's
it's
just
great. All the jurats that have come through are great,
yeah.
and the ones that are there now are great because they're doing something for the community
Yeah.
for nothing. I think people need to understand that they don't get paid; it's free. They give up their time and their service
Wow,
for
I didn't know
nothing.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean that's
and
kind of what you got to do on an island, isn't
for a
it?
lot for a long time, we've had jurats there for 10 to 20 years. It's been they were there for a long time, and
Wow.
it's onerous on occasion. If they've got to sit and listen to a trial for a week, they've got to give up everything. If they're working or whatever it is.
That's so unfair. Why is no one standing up for the jurors? Pay them.
I always stand up for the
Yeah, we
jurats.
must pay them. Yeah, in more than just wine. That's probably a thing. And it does make me wonder because I used to love that Midsummer Murders, and I always used to think, God, why is everyone living in Midsummer? Like, you should just get out of that place. I mean, has there been like major crime on Alderney? Because I've just never
Um,
like murder.
it,
Has anyone like murdered people on this island?
but not since I've been here. There
Oh,
are
thank
some
God.
there are some historic. I'll say stories to start with, whether they were actually true.
We're talking like post-war.
Yeah, yeah. But
Wow.
nothing that came to court in my day. So,
God, that would be awful. Imagine if there was a serial killer on the loose in Alderney. Like, oh my God, you'd be looking, you're like going to George and you're like, all right, guys.
I think between us all, we'd work out who it is.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, you'd like to think so, but no. Thankfully, it's just a lot of petty crime. Is
Yeah,
that right to say?
yeah.
There has been a few car thefts in this last year, particularly. I find it so fascinating as well because you're like, what are you doing? Like, what? Someone's going to find their car, or I guess
Yeah.
people from the UK often come here and they. I mean, a lot of my friends when they come here, they think it's bloody Malaga, and I'm like, guys, like, I know everyone. You
Yeah.
got to calm down a
Yeah.
little bit. Do you think that the crime rate in the UK is affecting Alderney at all, or are we still just living in a
No,
bubble?
we're still in a bubble. We're way
Just
behind everywhere else. I mean, I think, you know, we just have this level of social sort of I don't know how to describe it, but we all have to, because we're on a small island, and actually there's a fair few of us. You know, we do have to have that sort of sense of politeness and social control, I suppose. That otherwise it wouldn't work, would it? We just couldn't live in this small community without it. So
Mhm.
I think, you know, people can still leave their doors open, leave car keys in their car, etc. And if that can't happen, then we're doing something wrong.
I know. No, I think we're gonna be good. It's funny because yeah, I mean, people listen to this who are like, "Oh my god, they leave their houses unlocked." The worst thing that's ever happened to me is I found some guy sleeping on my sofa upstairs,
Absolutely,
and he went to the
absolutely.
wrong house.
Yeah,
And he was
absolutely.
like, "I'm sorry, I'm staying with someone on this road,"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "No worries,
yeah,
let me, you know." And it is just, it's a strange island, isn't it?
yeah.
It
It is.
really is. So when you came here professionally, what was the job that brought you here?
So that was the clerk of the court, which was the original sort of greffier position. So we were there for 2 years, and I did that. Then went to Guernsey to qualify as an advocate. So I worked in a law firm over there while I qualified, and then once I'd got qualified as an advocate. Alderney were discussing a change in the clerk of the court role because they wanted a chief executive in the States. They then at that point, the clerk of the states was the head civil servant. So they wanted a chief executive, and therefore the clerk of the state's job fell to the clerk of the court. And that's when they created the post of greffier, which is the same in the other islands. It's the same in Guernsey and Jersey. So it took slightly more of the, well, it had a bigger role to play in that it also clerked the Parliament, the States of Alderney, when it sits as a Parliament. So I knew that was happening, and I thought, well, you know, it would be quite nice to come back now that I'm qualified, and that's what we did. Came back
And you took that
and
position.
took that position.
Wow.
Yeah.
And am I right in saying you were the first female greffier?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And first female clerk of the court.
Bloody hell.
And the youngest by far, because I think I was about 31 when I came here. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh my god, you must
yeah.
be very proud about that.
Yeah, that
And
was good.
obviously, ever since we have had other female.
Oh, yeah.
It was law really male dominated back in the day? Is it been?
I don't. Oh well, back in the day, yes, but I mean now, you know, no, it certainly isn't. You know, it's not. There's choices. You know, choices for both male and female when they're taking their career choices, and certainly in my experience, I've never been put off by anything because I was a woman ever, and never been treated differently in the workplace because I was a woman. So no, I wouldn't say it was male dominated. I think in certain areas, women have got far more sense than to enter into it.
I love that. That makes sense. Yeah.
But no, and certainly not now. You know, it's open for all. So
Yeah. Well, I think that my generation are probably looking at all these gender roles as
yeah,
through this kind of like social justice, eyewear, and it's just not. It's not always that simple, you know. It's not always
no,
someone's attacking you or whatever. It's
no,
just
no.
sometimes that people don't want to do that.
Yeah,
But people
exactly.
must have taken you very seriously.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, when they got over the shock that, you know, I was the youngest person in the office and, you know, I was the greffier. I think there was a time when we were really short-staffed and we had to get a transcript out for something. So we all took our turn with the audio headphones on and typing away. And I was typing away this particular time. Someone came into the office and my colleague said, "Oh, I'll just get the greffier for you for that." So saw me take the headphones off and then put them down and then stand at the counter. And they said, "Well, we thought you were the audio typist." I went, "Oh, no, no. We all do our part in here."
Damn, there's the old
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you've obviously, you know, had the experience of within Alderney's court system, because I don't have a clue how this island's legal system works. I mean, you know, like, do we have our own law? Because I thought we were
Yes.
like part of Guernsey law, or like,
Yep.
give it to me in a nutshell.
So in a
Come on,
nutshell,
Sarah.
so we have our own laws. Okay, but we are also signed up to laws that the bailiwick make, i.e. Guernsey, on behalf of the whole bailiwick. So it's a two-tier system. Alderney can make its own laws, but also signs up to Guernsey laws. And for instance, laws about health, laws about education. They're made in Guernsey, but Alderney are part of that. So they're either bailiwick laws or Guernsey laws that Alderney sign up to. But yes, we certainly make our own laws. Building and development, for instance, that's an Alderney law because, of course, it's specific to Alderney.
Hmm.
The renewable energy law, specific to Alderney. So it's a two-tier system.
Well, I'm just as confused as I was before. Thank you, Sarah.
Pleasure.
Well, moving swiftly on then, let's, yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever get my head around, this island is, I mean, the longer time you spend here, the more you want to get involved in things. And then the more you want to get involved with things, the more you have to understand how things work. And then
Absolutely.
you're like, well, how do I find out how it works? It's like, there's no kind of
Yeah.
like Bible about how this island operates. And
Yeah.
it's a tough one, really. And so you must have experienced a lot of states members and working with the states of
Yeah.
Albany. How's that changed over the
Well,
decades?
I mean, I haven't worked with the States of Alderney for quite some time. Obviously, the link when I was working for the Gambling Control Commission, we had a link there with policy and finance, and I have to say, very professional relationship with the two. States members, when I was clerk of the states, again, they're people that are doing their best for the island. They put themselves up, they get voted in, and they're doing what they can. And for me personally, no issues at all. They can only do so much,
Mm.
and all of them, they all have their heart in the right place.
I think so. I mean, we don't give them enough credit.
No, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is interesting because we've had a new generation of states members now.
Yep.
Are you feeling hopeful?
Yes, I am. Yeah, certainly getting off to a running start. So yeah, it's good, and certainly all the press coverage in relation to the airport and things like that. It's all looking positive, and the more positive we are, the more positive the relationship with Guernsey will be, and that can only be a good thing.
I want to take a very quick break to thank Bell & Co for helping to sponsor this episode. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available on Alderney and can also help guide you to some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com and find out how you can escape to paradise. Back to the episode. So you mentioned the Alderney Gambling Commission. What was your role in the Alderney Gambling Commission?
I went there as the general counsel, the legal advisor, and legal draftsman. And then, as I sort of, got settled into that role, an opening came up for the director of licensing and enforcement. So that was the department that either approves or not the new applications for licenses. So they would do the investigations and then draft a report for the commissioners to consider whether they were suitable or not to hold a license. And then at the other end of the spectrum, if they were licensed and then had fallen foul of the regulations, I'd be the one that would be advising on enforcement and what enforcement action to take. So it was either end of the
So
system.
the Alderney Gambling Commission is a regulator.
Yes, it regulates online gambling
Wow.
for Alderney.
How much of a challenge is that to regulate?
Um, It can be, but the Alderney Gambling Control Commission has got a very slick system, good professional staff. I would say now the majority have come from gambling companies themselves, which obviously gives them the regulatory edge, if you like. So yes, it can be hard, but Alderney's been doing it for many, many years, got a very good reputation, and has done it well. And as can be seen by glowing reports, glowing annual reports, the money vow inspection that the bailiwick of Guernsey had, which is an inspection on your anti-money laundering and terrorist financing controls. There was a glowing report there, so they're obviously doing something right.
Fantastic.
That's good.
Where did all this begin? Because it's had quite a big impact on Alderney. I mean, in
It has.
terms of adding revenue to the island.
Yeah.
So who was the genius that decided this was going to be a good idea?
Well, it was, I think it was around 97, 98, something like that. And a couple of politicians just saw what was happening in other jurisdictions and thought, well, actually, this could be quite a low impact sort of sector that they could get into. It being all online, it wouldn't impact Alderney particularly. Not like you're going to get a massive casino
Yeah, of course not.
At the end of Victoria Street or something. It started off with telephone betting, where a lot of the companies had people obviously at the end of telephones taking bets 24 hours a day. And then that changed to online, obviously, as technology improved. And then once that happened, the telephone betting fell away and they then went on to online. So it was a case of a couple of politicians having this idea and running with it.
Mm.
And it worked. It was one of those, the positive stories. It didn't seem to take too long to bring into effect. They got the right staff in to start it off. People who had been experienced in the sector in other jurisdictions, and it's gone from strength to strength.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And do we have offices in Alderney and Guernsey? Is it?
Yeah, there's offices here, and there are people employed in Guernsey. They tend to work from home. People in the UK. So yeah, all over.
Amazing. And so I believe Alderney, the States of Alderney gets paid money from the Gambling Commission, is that right?
So all the profits from the AGCC itself, the Gambling Commission itself, go to the states. So after they've paid the wages, they maintenance of the building, all sorts of things
amazing.
like that. The profit goes.
So this is a state-owned business?
It's separated by law. So it's the commission is set up under a law. So it's completely separate to the states. But of course, do have to talk to the states, let them know what's going on, make it in the states want to make sure that they're not going to do anything that's going to harm the reputation of Alderney. So there is a conversation that's had every year, but it's not run by the states. It's actually run by its own commissioners and the executive that are in place.
Well, that's a good idea, isn't it? Yeah, you would.
It seems to have worked.
Yeah, definitely. And then what is it like every year? You get like you just give like a massive briefcase of cash to the states, be like, here you go, boys, pleasure doing business.
Not quite cash, because
No.
that wouldn't quite fit in with the rules. But but pretty much. I mean, it's public knowledge as to how much they get every year, and I think last year it was just over 2 million. So
fantastic. Well, and then obviously the states can use that money as they wish,
as it likes,
without Guernsey's approval, or
there are certain financial approvals, but not in relation to. So that money stays in Alderney. And of course, the financial controls in place between Guernsey and Alderney still take effect, but that money stays in Alderney.
Because obviously at this point there's a lot of money needed for new runways and all sorts of things, and so there's a big pot that we all pay money into in Guernsey, but then there are multiple ways that Alderney can generate its own revenues. Gambling's obviously a big one. Is there any other ways that, apart from property tax, maybe? Or
property tax? That's not anyone that uses the word tax. It's never popular, is it?
Right. Oh yes. One of the states members told me it was theft. I was like, wow. All right.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I was
That's,
like, okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, you have to steal from someone to put the services into place, but that's a different view. I mean, I guess there's probably a lot of things that the states could look at from an e-commerce point of view now. There are other things that need to be regulated, cryptocurrency, things like that they could look at. I'm sure they are, because it's, they've got one successful regulator. There's no reason why they can't have others. But they would need to look at obviously the risk to the jurisdiction. So when they looked at the online gambling, telephone as it was, and then online, they had to really seriously consider the risk to the jurisdiction, because of course it can be quite risky, the gambling world.
Yeah.
Criminals taking over casinos, customers that are criminals laundering their money. So they put controls in place which mitigated those risks hugely. And they would have to do the same with anything else that would be of a similar nature.
I guess it's tough with new technology. I mean, cryptocurrency's been around for over a decade, and it's still taken financial bodies around the world ages to figure out what is even going on.
Absolutely.
I think it was 2012 or 2013 that Robert McDowell tried to mint an Alderney Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And of course, I read this BBC article now, and I'm like, oh my god, we're so dumb.
Yeah.
Just you buy like one of those coins.
I've been, I'm not cryptocurrency, solely, but I've been in an online world for a long time, and I wouldn't be able to give a speech on crypto.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you are right. I think this new generation of states seem to have a lot more progressive. They're a bit younger, so I think they understand a bit more about the digital world. That's certainly the world that I'm all caught up in, and I just love it. I love being able to share stories about Alderney. Because it is such a unique place, isn't it? I mean,
it's fantastic. I mean, I well, I've been in my property now for just over 2 years. Before I bought it, I had a serious sort of crisis of confidence, I suppose. And
You had a wobble.
I was actually looking to move off. I'd actually gone and viewed flats and everything because I was thinking, oh, I don't know if my future sort of lies here. And then someone just said to me, well, where are you going to go? And I went, oh, yeah, well, I've seen a few places here and I've seen a few places there. And I just went, oh, it's not Alderney though. So
Yeah.
quickly changed my view and bought a house and still here.
I love that. Listen, you gotta do these things. You gotta
Yeah.
follow your feet. You
Yeah,
gotta go and
absolutely.
figure things. I mean, I've been in London 2 months, and I'm like, okay, I'm home now.
Yeah.
Because coming back to Alderney, you just suddenly realise you're like, oh yeah, actually, like community is important,
Yeah.
and it does feel nice.
It really is, and obviously, I've got so many good friends here, and that's really important. And then you look at what you do in your daily life, and I thought, well, hang on a minute. I fall out of my door and I can play golf. I fall out of my door and I can play paddle. I fall out of my door and I've got, bars and restaurants and, full of lovely people. I've got supermarkets. I've got, as you probably know, I played rugby and we started up a rugby team and the men's team are still going strong. Where would I be able to do all that without either having to get in a car and drive miles, or it be a real hassle to get it there and fit it in with time and things like that? Honestly, there's no place like it, for that community, for what we've got. It's great.
How did you set up the rugby club?
Well, this is probably one positive thing of COVID.
This was a lockdown hobby.
So, what the guys started to set up a boys' club, men's club. And I've always been interested in rugby and I trained a bit in Birmingham in my younger days. So I asked if I could go along to a couple of the training sessions. And it was soon, they were up here and I was sort of down there, and I was thinking, right, okay, this isn't going to work without me breaking something. So we had an idea that we'd perhaps try and get some women together. And this was just before lockdown. I can't remember how long now. And we did. We got some, a really good core of women turning up to the rugby training. And then as a result of lockdown, when, lots of kids came back to stay with their parents because it was easier and, they weren't working anyway, and a lot more girls turned up. And it was brilliant. And for about 12 months, we had a good core of between 12 and 15 women turning up to do rugby training. And we had a 10s women's game here against Guernsey. Some of us played in a 15s game in Guernsey for Guernsey and themselves. And great links with Guernsey, and they still do. And it was great. But of course, people then move on. So the kids went back to their, normal lives and work and everything. I mean, some of them fell in love and, had babies. I mean, that's not conducive to a rugby match. I mean,
right? Yeah, we had a little spike in COVID, didn't we?
Priorities all wrong, as far as I'm concerned. But, I'll forgive them.
Yeah.
So slowly the numbers dwindled and we never really got a core number back. And we did train again with the guys for a while, but it wasn't fair on them and it certainly wasn't fair on us. But it did work for a while, and then, circumstances and sadly the women's team doesn't happen anymore, but the men's team does.
So men's team still goes
They
strong?
still train.
So who runs the men's team then?
Alex from the Wildlife Trust is one of the keen organisers, and they train down at the school or on the beach. If the school field is hard, you don't want to start rugby tackling on that.
Yeah.
And there's a Facebook page, not that I'm promoting it or anything, but do look at it. The Rydunians Facebook page will give you some information on where they train and contacts, because it's great. It's just great.
Yeah, I always do consider thinking about playing a physical sport, but these hands are not made for
Well, you just
sports.
need to learn to run faster than everyone else then.
I'm a pretty good runner, but I like playing snooker.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm big into snooker.
You see, we've got a snooker club, we've got a football club.
I know.
I mean, it's mad, isn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it?
All the other things I haven't mentioned. I know there's loads of them.
Well, I mean, what does your typical, your lazy day look like on Alderney?
lazy day?
Yeah, where's your favourite beach? Like, where do you like going?
The beach, Cameron. I don't do beaches.
You don't do beaches? Sarah,
I live at Bray.
but you're
I
surrounded
I
by
know.
like golden
I
beaches.
know it's a constant.
But I like that though. That's a good indicator that like we're not all about wildlife
No,
and
no, no,
beaches.
no, no. Did go in, I think, 3 times last year. I haven't ventured in yet.
Congratulations.
Yep, that
Was
was
that with the Ass Club or was that
no,
your
no, no.
own
So, oh
your own?
no, I know. I skulk down Bray Street and sort of dive in at high tide and then skulk back out again. That's
Ah,
about as far as I
skulking.
go.
Yeah.
Um, so you know, I try and keep fit. I've got my gym at my house. I like to, you know, obviously socialise with friends as we all do. Play a bit of golf, play a bit of
Golf.
paddle,
I hear it's
go
called
walking.
Millionaires Golf over here
Absolutely.
because no one's ever on it.
We get annoyed if there's one car in the car park. That's how bad it is.
Really?
It's like, what are
Wow.
they doing on our private course?
That's amazing, isn't it?
It
It's a
is
beautiful
millionaires golf. You
course.
don't have any tee times. I would never have. Some people say I can't play golf now, but I would never have taken up golf in England because I would be so scared of the tee times and, you know, having 8-minute slots between people coming, you know, in front of you, behind you, all of these. I wouldn't do it. But here it's great. You can basically, no, as long if there's a match on, then fair enough. But you can basically turn up with your clubs and off you go.
And the views.
The views, yeah, they're fantastic. There are going to be people that will contact you to say their golf course is better, but I'm going to say there's nothing like Alderney Golf Course for that.
Not at all. And you know, when it's a lovely day and you're looking around the island and you're going, this is absolutely amazing. And then when it's a terrible day and it's pissing it down, you look around and you're going, do you know what? It's still amazing.
It's still amazing. Yeah, exactly.
It just is. And you're looking at history as well. You've got the Roman, the nunnery
Yeah.
built by the Romans. You've got then the German, you know, fortifications. And then you realise you're like, where are we right now?
I know. It's everything. You know, when people come here to visit us for the first time, I am absolutely, you know, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I've been to the Odeon, the German hospital. Obviously, the next one is Telegraph Tower. I will go with them. I don't just send them because I want to go with them and experience it again because they're just so amazing. I mean, the work that's been done on those sites is incredible, and it's just you know, it's just great for everyone, great for us that live here, and great for tourists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all credit to Visit Alderney and all the different societies that got involved. I do feel a bit bad for Carl Flewitt though. And his telegraph. I mean, all the rumor is that he's annoyed he didn't get a plaque. You know, I know that was his party house for many years. But I'm glad it's gone back to its historical use.
Yeah.
What was it? It was a signal tower or something.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't been there yet. I haven't got the history.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe we should
I'll go and read the board and come back for part 2.
Exactly. Well, no, it is amazing, and like that's the thing is that like eventually, like when people do start coming here in their masses, because they will eventually, right? The moment the outside world knows about Alderney, we're all kind of ready for it.
Yeah,
I think we are ready for another push.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that? Because you've been here. How long have you been here now?
26 years in October.
26 years. So you must have seen the ebbs and flows and the peaks and the troughs. And I know that we've had transport issues and you know, that's what happens. But what's your sort of hope for Alderney, or what's your sort of vision?
I just hope that we at least stay afloat. I know we're an island, but we at least stay afloat and continue as much as we can as we are now. But don't get complacent. You know, people always need to have that good idea and need to have the next idea, and don't bash them over the head. It's an idea, and some might fly and some might not. I think transport's a big issue. If it can be sorted out, I still don't think we're going to have really cheap flights because, you know, it's economies of scale. There's only so many planes can come in and only so many seats to be sold. However, if the offering when you get here, you know, balances out with that flight price and the transport price, we'll be okay. You know, it's not all about the transport; it's everything else around it. I do really think that we're on a really good platform at the moment and a nice springboard to sort of, you know, move on. Forget all the stuff that's gone on before, you know, oh, well, in my day it was this and in my day it was that. We can't live like that anymore. It would be lovely if we could, but we can't. We've got to move with the times. And it might not mean that we're, you know, some super duper jurisdiction, but we're still going to be, you know, holding our own in the small jurisdictions is what I think.
Well, I love that. I mean, the other islands as well, Guernsey and Jersey, they've got the similar problems to us, right? I mean, everyone's dealing with globalization and the way the
Absolutely.
world is going. I don't
Absolutely.
know if a lot of people understand the modern world. I mean, like particularly states members who are not don't know how to use their phones.
Yeah.
Advising on economic development. You're like, I don't know if you know what you don't know. Because what you don't know is that you can communicate to the entire world
Yeah.
with this.
Absolutely.
It's
But be
been
brave enough to ask, huh? I mean, that's the other thing. Just, no one knows everything.
Yeah,
Just
no,
ask.
absolutely
And
not.
actually, get advice from people and sort of, deal with it that way.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I did an AI workshop, which two of the states members, the newer states members attended. But a year prior, I had built the States of Alderney its own AI tool. So crunching all the information from everything I could find online, Hansard reports,
Yep.
financial reports, all of it. And of course, I sent it to all the states members. Didn't get a single response. I then sent it to all the states members in Guernsey and Jersey, and got responses from them.
Yeah.
And I thought, isn't that interesting? And personally, I find it's probably because they've known me since I was a kid.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is literally my mum and dad's
prob-
mates.
probably.
And it's very difficult. You're something like, it's just weird because,
Yeah.
and I still wear my baseball cap. I've
Yeah.
actually taken it off for this interview because I figured
I wouldn't
that.
have been offended if you'd
No,
have kept it on.
it's all right. I have been told, many times to take my cap off. But there's nowhere in the world that generations can grow up together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm very proud of my parents though, because like they're still partying like they're 25.
They are.
They're nuts, aren't they?
They're just great. Everyone aspires to be like them when they grow up.
Well, I don't want to encourage them. Don't encourage them, Sarah. Honestly, you know what? They're like little kids. Like, I'm lying in bed, just minding my business. Next thing I hear them giggling, running through the door at night. Dad comes in here, goes, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "Here, Dad." Sits on the end of my bed, starts telling me the night he's had, and it's just beautiful.
So big role reversal. It should be you doing that.
Massive role reversal.
That's
but
lovely.
I feel so lucky. I really do. I feel lucky to have parents that are just loving life, and it is weird because my generation, for some reason, have stopped drinking.
Yeah, I know. It's weird that, isn't it? I think your generation and those coming up are probably the cleanest living that we've ever had.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
It's really boring. Do you know what? I get it, but in the end, you're going to die a lot younger if you're lonely and bored.
And also, it might extend your life by 2 years, but do you really want those horrible extra 2 years at the end? That's what I think, without having experienced anything by the time you've got there.
I think what it is that this younger generation can learn everything they need to know before ever walking out the door.
Yeah.
And so because of that, they then walk out the door and they're like, "I'm not going to go to a bar."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Why?" It's like, "Because I read on TikTok, I watched on TikTok, it's bad for you."
Yeah.
And there's something weird about that because it's like, have you never been absolutely blackout drunk that you've woken up in the back of a police van and you have to now apologize for like climbing on some scaffolding or something? Because I have. And, there's something that teaches you something about that.
Yeah, there's no life experiences anymore. And the generations coming up won't have any life experiences because you're absolutely right. It's all on a screen.
It's mad, isn't it?
But they think that's a life experience, don't they? It is incredible. I would just like to say, for the record, I've never found myself in the back of a police van.
Not even on Alderney.
Not even on Alderney. Not even by way of a lift home.
I was going to say, you're more likely to get a lift home over here. Well, it is interesting. Like the younger kids are growing up in a different world, and I think we're going to have to give them some. I don't know if the word is credit or just give them some support. Because it's like good luck.
Yeah.
Like really good luck.
Oh, it'll work out. The older generation said that about my generation. God, how are they ever going to, keep the place going? Because look at them.
But you lot were the rebellious ones. You're the ones that broke all the rules, and now us lot have to live by them. We're like, God, it is funny because my mum says that she is so happy to have been part of her generation because she just couldn't deal with it, and actually for the first time ever, I'm starting to agree with her because I'm a bit like, we don't have a shared culture anymore. Like it's so fragmented.
Yeah.
You don't know your neighbours in London anymore. And then weirdly, if I said to you like 20 years ago, like what's the big talking points in the UK, you could have said, these are what everyone's talking about. Nowadays, we're all talking about something completely different. Unless it's like a Trump thing, which we all kind of get fed. I didn't even know that the ladies' football won the Euros the other day until I saw it like this morning on TV. People debating whether it should be a bank holiday. I'm like, hello.
Where had you been for the whole weekend?
it's just not on my timeline. It's not on my scrolling schedule,
Yeah,
you know, and that's
yeah,
the weird thing when you get all your news from social media,
yeah.
that every platform's got an algorithm to try and just make you, you
For it
know.
to be related to you.
So football's
Yeah.
not my forte, obviously.
Well, I was watching it with your mum and dad, so
Really?
we
But
had it on Sunday.
well, I didn't think that they were into
Well, they
football.
kept popping in and out just to sort of check the score. But I mean, it's a big
Right.
thing. I mean,
You shooting?
I am a football fan. And I've watched men's football for a number of years, both team and international. Although I'm not a fan of the national side, particularly. And I've never really been a fan of women's football because I think although they are great, the standard is not there yet, and it will get there. And I'm not investing in this male versus female thing. I think they're two totally different types of game. Having said all of that, it is absolutely brilliant for the young women coming up in the sport. The national side and those girls were absolutely brilliant. They weren't expected to win, and they did. They came out all guns blazing, and then at the end won it on penalties, and it was fantastic. And that's a high, you know, that's a really good high, and it's a really good thing to celebrate.
Did you
But
say they won it on penalties?
yeah,
England won
Yeah, I
a
know.
major trophy
I know.
on penalties.
I know. It's
Girls,
amazing,
go
isn't
and
it?
teach those boys something. You want to deal with stress? That's probably it, isn't it? Women are probably better at dealing with stress. I bet they weren't even thinking about the crowd.
No, they're just kicking the ball in the
Yeah,
back of the
just
net.
kicking the ball. I did then go and look at the final penalty,
Yeah.
and bloody hell,
Yeah.
that was. I mean, she did like a little fancy, like whoop,
Yeah.
like a little,
Yeah.
like a good dancer. Like,
Yeah, that annoys me when the men do that. It's just like,
Yeah.
just kick the ball.
Yeah.
Because you're going to slip over one day. You know, the odds are against you to get 100% success rate. But no, it was great. And
Great evening.
It was a great evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And so where do you enjoy your spending your evenings most? Do you have like a favorite restaurant, pub?
Oh my God!
Got a
No.
local? You'd...
Well, now the Moorings is open. It's straight across the
it's
road.
lovely, isn't it?
With Griff's downstairs bar's really nice because obviously
Yeah.
again straight across the road. But no, I love them all, Cam. It makes no odds to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're blessed, and I think there is something for every mood that you've got. You know, if you really want a nice party, go in the Shares of the Georgian when they've got music. You know, the Moorings on the terrace. If you just want a nice little quiet drink, two of you to have a chat, you've got lots of little places around to do that. You know, I think I can't say that I've got a favourite because I like them all, and for all many different reasons.
Food on this island.
Incredible, and having just been to England for some time, going backwards and forwards, we're so competitively priced. You know, for the standard that you get. It's amazing.
It is weird because I spent 2 years here off the back of making a movie here, and I recently moved back about 2 months ago, and I looked at the prices, and obviously the supermarkets in London have suddenly got very expensive. I'm going, hold on a second, that's like the same price as Alderney now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know whether because Alderney was always a bit more expensive, and now like, the UK is just basically got to the same level. So actually, you know, you're actually just better off living here.
Yeah.
I am because my mum and dad live here.
I was going to say because you live here for free.
I do live here for free, exactly. I really have to stop myself from saying like, you know, come to my house. I'm like, my parents' house. It's not my house, you know. Yeah, I mean, lucky is an overstatement. I mean, I'm privileged and very, very. I'm just, you know. It is the way it is, right? I'm like, yes, thank God.
Yeah.
But Alderney is like the mecca. It is the safety net that, thankfully, I've lived by, and I don't know. It's given me like a real sense of duty as well. You know, like I think making videos about Alderney and making this sort of podcast for me, it was like, actually, these are the people I love. Like I love everyone on this island. Like I've grown up with them, you know?
and that then stands you in good stead to get the best out of people because I'm sitting here and it's like we're having a chat in a bar with a gin and tonic.
When really you're in my bedroom, Sarah. Yeah.
Don't tell the world that.
I was gonna say when people are like, where were you this afternoon? I was in Cam Kendall's bedroom. Yeah. Well, you know, we do what we can do. But this is the thing, is that when we go into the pubs and stuff, like everyone just talks to each other.
Yeah.
Like it's not like pubs in the UK where you just, you know, you don't socialise with other people.
Exactly.
You just walk in.
Yeah. There's always somebody to talk to.
Do you think it's weird though? Because I mean, everyone goes through like periods of their life where maybe they're not always as okay, and then they've got all these dramas going on and stuff. Like that all happens to everyone on the
Yeah, of
island,
course.
and everyone lives with each other through
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
and there's the drama, and you're like, okay, that was a few years
Yeah,
ago now.
yeah,
They're now okay, and
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
those people got together. Those people. It's a bloody drama, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Sitcom
So or soap opera, whichever way you want to describe
or
it.
a proper opera.
Or a proper opera.
Could be a
Yeah,
proper
but I
opera.
mean, that's nice. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh God, in Alderney, everyone's talking about you. They must know all your business." Well, they do if you tell them. If you don't
Ah,
want to tell them, if you don't want them to know, don't tell them.
I like it. Tight
And
lips.
if anybody's going to make anything up, well, good luck to them.
Yeah.
But everyone in it knows the truth. You do have to have broad shoulders
Mm,
to live here, and just ignore it. It's part of any small community. It's not just Alderney.
mhm.
Any small community is the same. However, the upside of that is if someone is in trouble and people are saying, well, do you know that they've got this, that, and the other? There's always going to be someone to help you,
Mm.
and that is the balance for me. So it's not all bad that they're all gossiping about you. You actually, if you are in trouble, they will help.
Hell no, I love it. I'm actually the one that makes up my own rumours about me.
Oh yeah, no, I've
Yeah,
done
I
that
just go
before.
into the pub. Hey, I heard about Cam.
Yeah, see how
No.
long it takes to get back round, and how many arms and legs they've put on it.
Do you know what? All joking aside, one of my friends got engaged down on Longy, and before she could even tell her mum, someone in the pub,
Yeah.
someone had come up to her mum and congratulated her,
Oh
and they're
no.
like, "Well, what do you mean?" And it's like, "Oh,
Oh
she
dear.
just got engaged." And I
Oh
was like,
dear.
"How did you know that?" And someone was basically just looking on the beach and was like, "Oh, that's so and so," and they're like,
Oh.
then they phoned up their mate, be like, so and so just got engaged."
Oh dear.
I know, right? But that's what we kind of love about the
Yeah.
place, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Exactly.
It's
That's the way it is. You're not going to be able to do anything in secret here, really.
no, no. But this is why I wanted to start this podcast. And it was after Graham McKinley died. And Graham had been a really big inspiration in my life. I wanted to join the army when I was very, very young. And I realized I'd never got a chance to interview him
Oh,
and
okay.
find out
Yeah.
about his life. And so I
Yeah.
really want to just allow people to kind of just tell their story.
Yeah.
I think Carl Flewitt actually recently got vindicated from the old eye thing, because Lee told me on the podcast that it wasn't Carl that took his eye out, and I had a load of people come up to me being like, "Oh, do you know what? I thought it was Carl."
I'm
And
sure that's what we all thought, because I'm sure that's what they used to say. But maybe,
that's
yeah.
it.
Oh
Yeah,
well.
people just make it up.
You see, now we know the truth. We could stop talking about it.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I
we
mean,
probably won't. We're still.
we'll find something else to
Yeah.
talk about.
Exactly.
Are
Exactly.
there any myths or legends about Alderney that you really like? Is there any? Because I mean, I hear that the author of The Wicker Man, or the writer of The Wicker
Yeah.
Man, was inspired after a trip to Alderney.
Oh right. Wow. Okay. I
So he
haven't
must
heard
have
that one.
seen the torchlight
Right.
and
Yeah.
gone, "Oh,
Oh
okay."
yeah. Okay. Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
Alderney isn't the only place to have a torchlight, but maybe.
Is it not?
No.
God, there's us thinking that we're all bloody unique.
Well, certainly not in that time anyway. I mean, probably now they've all been shut down for health and safety. But at that point, we weren't the only ones to have a torchlight. So no, I don't know that one. I do like all the stories about the ghosts, because I'm totally not accepting that there are any ghosts. I'm not. It doesn't really filter into my brain. But so I do love the ones when you hear people say, "Oh yeah, well I was walking down Laundry and the headless horseman sort of like crossed my path," and I go, "Yeah, but how much had you been drinking when you walked down Laundry?" And are you sure it was the headless horseman? Yes, it definitely was. So I like all those sorts of things, because it wouldn't scare me, and because I'm not sure I believe it, but not
It's
that I would
interesting, isn't
criticise
it?
anybody else for having that belief. But
No, you see, it's funny because I was told that story when I was a kid, and then I'm walking down Laundry telling people in my group the story, and then I see this little grave on the side. I'm like, "Yeah, and that's his grave."
oh, the
And then
timing!
and then next thing you know, like, someone tells me that story and he goes, "Oh, by the way, that's the grave." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, clearly we're all part of the problem. It reminds me, because there is a new Chinese restaurant called
Yeah,
Chinese
Whispers.
Whispers.
I think that's a
Um,
brilliant name for all.
what a great
Brilliant name.
name! Is it
Yeah.
open yet? Do you know?
Yeah, it's open, and if you go on the Facebook page and you can order, I think it might be open Fridays and
I
Saturdays.
love that on the
I've
Facebook
heard,
page.
I know I've heard lots of good reports about it, so we will try it at some point.
Brilliant. So we now do
Yeah.
have a Chinese,
Yeah.
an Indian,
Yeah,
a Thai.
yeah,
What else we have?
lots of very good sort of gastro pub type things. I
Yeah,
would suppose
we
you would
basically
call
got
them.
it all now, haven't
We've
we?
got it all. Yeah.
I like it. Any other
Yeah.
cuisines that we're
Yeah.
missing?
Uh,
Missing a McDonald's, obviously. Like,
Oh, I don't know.
could you imagine that?
It's really funny, because when I first came here, 20 odd years ago, and the school had a photographer, and came over from the UK, I think. Well, it must have been because Guernsey didn't have any fast food restaurants, or McDonald's particularly. And he said that the children's skin were some of the best that he'd photographed, because he said, you haven't got a Pizza Hut, you haven't got a McDonald's, you haven't got a Burger King. I mean, we're talking 25 years ago, obviously plus ago. And he said he was amazed at the healthiness of the kids, because they've got fresh air, no fast food restaurants. He said it was incredible.
Wow. I think that's something that people are going to want more and more these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
It is a shame as well, because I always think my generation is like the first like guinea pig generation. It's like, what happens if we feed them loads of processed food?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what
that's
about
true.
loads of refined sugars?
Yeah.
Because like my mum and dad, as much as they do drink a lot, they actually grew up with
Yeah.
very whole foods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas I grew up like, on very much not.
Yeah.
And so I wonder whether I'm the first
Yeah,
generation
could
that's
be.
actually not going to live as long.
Maybe.
You could pump me full of drugs and I might be able
Or
to
you
stay
might be
alive.
pickled from the inside out and you might never die.
Whoa, I like
You don't know.
that.
You
I
don't know
like
where it's
that.
going to go, do you?
You really don't. I mean, the future is. I mean, this even the last few years with all the technology, it's like you just don't know what's going to happen, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my mum always says that God's not making any more land, and so Alderney's always going to be
Oh,
great.
yeah, fair enough.
Which I like to think that I'll retire here.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to get off the island, go and see the world and stuff. And I've been around the world, and I've lived in other countries
Yeah.
and stuff. What about you? Have you seen much of the bigger world?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the world. I love traveling. And I've got an aunt in Australia, so I visit her on many occasions. Stayed out there for about 3 months a few years ago. Been to Africa. Yeah, in fact, the only place I haven't really been is Asia. I've been to Myanmar, which was Burma, but apart from that, I haven't been there.
What
Been
brought
the
you to
Americas.
Myanmar?
Well, we went to visit, Derek Llewellyn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we went to visit him and Jackie when they were living out there. It was an amazing place, absolutely amazing.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
What were they
incredible.
doing out there?
He was teaching. He was the head of a school, and yeah, we went to visit for a couple of weeks. I stayed with them in Yangon, and then went up country with them to the seaside. It was fantastic.
Fabulous! Wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And then you came back here.
Then came back here. It was very similar.
Isn't it bizarre though? Like, because I mean, sometimes when I'm in another country and I'm like not even thinking about Alderney, and then you get back to Alderney and you're like, can't believe I was in that other country.
Yeah.
Nice to be home.
I love traveling. I love seeing other places. I love other cultures, and other all sorts of things. But when you come home and you realise how lucky you are to be in this very small place where everything is so easy and convenient, that's when you go, oh yeah, no, we're all right.
Yeah, we're all right. We're all
Yeah.
right. Well, look, I mean, is there anything else that you want to discuss? I mean, is there any
Oh, I don't know. The meaning of life.
the meaning of life? Well, what do you think the meaning of life is? Because I think it's bizarrely shaped by this island.
Yeah.
Like having the exposure to this island, it means that when I speak to my friends in the UK who are, very successful and they're buying houses and cars and stuff, and you just get this feeling, you're like, but do you have a community?
Yeah.
Like,
Are you happy? You see, that's my first question would be, but are you happy? Have you got on that treadmill that you feel like you've got to own that particular house or type of house or that price bracket? Have you then got on the treadmill of all of these things that you're expected to do as opposed to what you want to do? And I think that's a big difference. It's very important that you do what you would like to do and what you like to do as opposed to get on that treadmill. We're one of the few jurisdictions, and I say that meaning the UK as well, bringing it all in, where buying a property is like the thing, right? Because a lot of other European countries, they're all rentals, and don't see it as a big thing. But we've always been sort of indoctrinated in us, I suppose. You've reached your goal if you own your own house. I'm sitting here as a house owner, by the way. And I know it sounds a little bit twee, but there are other things you can do. There are other things you can spend your money and your time on. It doesn't necessarily need to be that treadmill. That treadmill's fine if you're really happy. But I bet people don't ask themselves that very often.
It's expectation though, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And actually,
Exactly.
like, if you look at the stocks and shares over the last 10 years, you would have been much better off putting your money into investments than you would buying a
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
With
yeah.
with the way that the global economics is going,
Yeah.
it is a bizarre, and I have to say, like, it's not always a very hopeful world for my generation. Like I think a lot of people are getting a little bit bitter
Yeah.
by the baby boomers
Yeah.
and being like, oh yeah, it's all right for you to say, why don't you have a house? You know, because you bought your house for 10 grand or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
But we
Exactly.
are trying to figure out like, okay, well, how are we going to be the first generation that's like less well off than our parents? Are we not going to be able to give our kids what we had as kids?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like big question marks. And
Yeah,
I'm
they are.
33 now, so a lot of my mates are having children and stuff like
Yeah.
this, and they're going, can't afford it.
Yeah.
Can't afford to have
Yeah,
a kid,
exactly.
you know, and they're thankfully bringing in their mums and dads
Yeah.
to help.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's the way forward now for many families because childcare costs are horrendous. I mean,
oh,
I've never had to find myself in the position of paying them, but I certainly know some of my friends. One of them works just to pay childcare and just to enable her to stay in the workplace. Doesn't actually make any money out of it. It just means that the childcare is paid for, and she, when the child goes back to school, is in the workplace so that she can, obviously carry on working and didn't take
crazy, isn't
herself
it?
out for 5 years. Yeah.
I want to go back to the 1950s. I'm like, "Hey, I'll drive my car to work, honey." No, clearly not. But it is fascinating because, again, you get all this exposure from TV shows and the internet, and
Yeah,
we know everything.
yeah, yeah,
We can find out everything,
yeah,
instantly. And you're like,
yeah,
but what do you want?
yeah,
Like, what do you really,
exactly.
really want? Like
Yeah.
that's quite a
The
hard
lack of
thing.
filter, isn't it? It's a lack of filtering that sort of, because we all like to watch rubbish on TV. No one's going to sit there and tell me that they will watch highbrow stuff. Everyone needs their little bit of,
What's your
entertainment.
guilty little TV binge?
Well, it used to be I'm a Celebrity because I quite like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Actually, Strictly when it first came out, it's all a bit formulaic now, so I don't bother. But when it first came out, and I thought, well, they've actually got to do something that's out of their comfort zone. I quite like that. Then, of course, I'm a Celebrity took over from that. But actually, now it's just darts.
But you are
I watch.
a darts player, right?
I have played darts in the past, but not now.
Right.
But I
Okay.
love watching. Like I watch
Is it good?
sport. Yeah,
Would you
brilliant.
recommend?
The world match play at the moment. It's really great.
Wow,
Yeah,
I do like darts actually.
yeah.
I'm not bad at it. But it's yeah. There's too much
But
on
so
now, isn't
everyone
there?
needs their little bit of entertainment. Like if you can't just always have highbrow. You do need to switch off.
Mm,
That's a given. And I don't know whether a lot of people, not here, but certainly in the UK, whether they know how to do that because it's that treadmill thing.
mm.
You know.
Yeah, I ended up binge watching 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Oh
recently.
wow. Okay.
Actually, if you haven't seen that, I don't know. It definitely wasn't your generation, but it was
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
It's amazing, like to go back to that past,
Yeah.
where, yeah, I mean, remember like the TV was like a square, and it was like you had 5
Yeah.
channels, and that was it. And you had your TV guide, and you underlined the times when you wanted to watch stuff. Like TV was not so it wasn't engulfing your
Oh
life.
yeah.
Whereas now it's
You got
like
hundreds and hundreds of channels. You just flick. I mean, I'm not sure I've watched a full program for. You just keep flicking, don't you, to see
it's
what's what?
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. But binge watching as well. Like, and I love
Yeah.
how Netflix is like, oh, we'll just play the next episode for you. You're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, it's funny because I've spent a bit of time with my brother, and he's got two children, 13 and 10, 13 and 11, and they have no concept of what an advert is. I was talking about something, and I went, "Oh yeah, well you remember the advert?" And they both looked at me completely blankly, and they went, "No." And my brother went, "They don't watch things with adverts. Absolutely, as you say, stream everything. If they've recorded it on the Sky box, they just flick through the adverts. No concept.
none of
No
it.
concept.
And it's funny because obviously a lot of the streamers are now charging people to go ad free. So
Yeah,
I pay 12 quid a month to
yeah,
have YouTube ad free,
yeah,
and of course I don't want to ever see
yeah.
adverts. And
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
like what worries me really is that when I look at my subscriptions and I look at my credit card statement, like all these companies are all not based in the UK. And I keep thinking about like the macroeconomics of like
yeah,
what's going on in the world right now. And I'm like, it just feels like all the money's being hoovered out of
yeah,
these sovereign nations
yeah.
and put
Well, they're
into
going to set up where it's cheaper and more efficient for them to set up, aren't they? And you can't blame them for that.
hell no. But I don't know, that makes me
Yeah,
worried. It makes me really worried about like, because like we used to be so much more localized, like even like the mega rich would be near enough to
mm,
the poor people so that they could almost they'd
that's
have to grow together.
yeah, exactly. But
Now
that's
it's
the
like we don't even need you anymore. We're just,
absolute. Well, that's the huge argument going on now in the UK with the wealth tax. There's going to be if that comes in, then and it's a one-off tax as I understand it, but I don't think the details have been discussed. There's going to be loads of people that actually leave the UK because they think, well, we've paid tax on everything we've earned. Now that we've earned it and we've got it to spend, you now want to tax us on that again. That's part of the argument. Hence why companies do set themselves up offshore and in places where it's more competitive.
Mm.
I had this idea once that there should be just like one tax authority for the world, and everyone pays their tax into it at the same rate, and then that tax authority divides it out so everything's fair and everything's fair in the world. Then I woke
Interesting.
up.
Yeah, do you know
But like
what?
that's it, because it needs to be fair,
Yeah.
and people, jurisdictions lose out, people lose out. But yeah, I don't know how it ever would work. Not that particular idea, but people where they would stay in their jurisdiction to be taxed. Because
Yeah, it's
people
a difficult
don't
one,
like
isn't
paying
it?
taxes, as we already said
They
before.
just don't, do
Apparently it's
they?
theft.
Yeah, I know, right? Crazy, isn't it? I mean, look, like I'm not an expert in tax or politics or any of that, and I think as you were talking about what is it, a man on the back of a Clapham bus or
Oh, yeah,
something?
yeah,
It's like, yeah, I mean, you can see what's fair is fair, and I just think I don't feel like the UK is fair anymore. I
yeah.
don't know if it ever was.
Not for a long time, I wouldn't
Do you know what? It
imagine.
was actually when I went to Manchester that I even realised how much of a bubble I lived in growing up. Like I didn't
Yeah,
realise as someone whose mum and dad ran their own business and was able to afford for us to come here and I never realised. I know a lot of my friends are from very diverse backgrounds, and so yeah, now I'm like, oh my God, like hell, if I didn't have my mum and dad, I would be probably on the
yeah,
streets. Like I
yeah,
genuinely would just not be able to live the way I'm living. And so then to not take any of that into account of like
yeah,
the rest of the people in the UK and to some extent people in Alderney as well. Like the thing that really upsets me working in the school, and I've done some teaching in the school and I've done some trying to get more kids to obviously move to the island, is that actually those kids need support.
yeah.
They're living on a tiny island, and there used to be 300 kids. Now there's 120 kids. Now
Is that all there is at the school?
you
Wow.
tell me what additional
Mm,
support the states are willing to provide, or the people are willing to provide to just get them off the island.
yeah,
Why doesn't the school have just a fund that like states will pay for it?
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Your trips fund isn't going to get raised by selling people's secondhand
yeah,
furniture.
yeah, yeah,
We'll pay for it.
yeah,
It's not their generation that's making these decisions, about whether or not we
yeah,
spend money on runways and whatever. But they're going to be the ones like mentally, like you can't even get into a fight with someone in your year group because there's 7 of them. And so you're like, really ideally you'd be in at least 100 kids, have a
yeah,
fight with that kid, get in a relationship with this kid, and that's how you learn how to socialize and
yeah,
grow. I don't want to be negative about the school because I love them to pieces. The teachers are doing a great job. But if we're talking about like what government should be doing and what our taxes should be doing, it's like basically the people who can't afford to make decisions because they're vulnerable and they're young,
yeah,
sort them out first,
yeah.
and then we'll talk about whether or not you're going to get this, that, or that.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because you are absolutely right. In an ideal world, that would happen, but of course, it's not. We've only got a certain amount of money for lots and lots of things, and that's the problem for governments all around the world.
Mm,
They have a particular pot of money, and there's lots of people wanting a bit of it, and that's why we vote them in to make these decisions,
mm.
because we're probably not brave enough.
It makes sense as well because if you do look at the value of a pound over the last 20,
Oh
30
yeah,
years, you're like,
yeah.
how did it get so crap?
I
And you're
know.
like, oh yeah, you remember that crisis? Yeah, we had to print some money. And then
Yeah.
do you remember that crisis? Yeah, we also had
So
to print some money. And I'm like, hold on a second.
yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? But it's the way that like governments work that I don't think people like myself could possibly even imagine or be able to make a real good opinion of it. I think that's why it's difficult
Yeah.
voting for people.
Yeah, and until you're in it, you don't understand the controls and things in place, and as I've said, earlier on in this conversation, they all go in there with the right incentives and the right ideas, and and hopefully, some will come to fruition. But they can't do everything because there isn't money to do everything, and there's not,
Mm,
the facilities to do everything or the resources. But again, that's why governments are there, because they have a list of priorities and they deal with the priorities, which is how it should be, and they vote the priorities on the collective consensus of the group, which sounds all very idealistic, but that's the way it should be happening. You know, and I have to say, you hit the nail on the head. Alderney could not survive without all of the charities, all of those very, very good people that volunteer to do lots and lots of things. It couldn't, you know. The Trips Fund, very good example. You know, those kids go off to Cowshot and do their D.A.V. and all of that because of the way that, you know, the Trips Fund is donated to by probably all of us in our
Mm.
time. You know, the jumble sales and all of that. The island couldn't survive without all of that, and those people really do need to have a special mention every time because, you know, they're outstanding.
I think we should have a Spirit of Alderney award.
Yeah,
If the president is listening to this, which I know he does,
good.
then I'd love for that to be like an
Yeah,
annual thing, just to
yeah,
like motivate, people
yeah,
who are really trying their best. Because as you
yeah,
said, there are so many like hidden heroes on this
yeah,
island,
absolutely.
and it would be nice to honour them.
Exactly. Well, we do tap in, don't we, to the Pride of Guernsey Awards, and we get some nominations for there. But you're right; it would be quite nice to have our own.
I don't understand why
Yeah,
we, you know what I mean?
yeah.
We should,
Do you know what? There'd be so many nominations. I don't know how anyone would make a decision, would they?
it would be quite funny, wouldn't it?
With all of the people. I mean,
Hey, we'd
I
have to
could.
call you back in. We're like, right, Sarah, we need you to help us with this. Well, I don't know. It seems like they're getting pretty good at the whole voting thing
Yeah,
now. That seems to all be very legit and very official. And yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, isn't it? Like, I don't think you'd ever be as informed about local politics in the UK.
mm,
Like, living in Wimbledon right now, I have no idea who the Wimbledon MPs are
yeah,
or the council is. I have no idea. However, I know all the states members in the civil service, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, well, that's it. That's your lot.
yeah.
And I think you are right. And I think sometimes I don't give enough, credit to the system. There's a system in place. There's rules,
Exactly.
procedures. If
Yeah,
you want to go from 0 to 100, yeah, you ain't going to go through the system. I
yeah,
think talking to the former CEO, Teo,
yeah,
about some of the things I wanted to get through, he just said, look, go and do all this by yourself. He's like, at the end of the day, like it's so much harder and longer
yeah,
to do it through the official process than just to go and find your own way there.
yeah,
And the private sector does have a responsibility, and there is the government, the
yeah.
private sector, and all that sort of stuff. And it is like I'm only just learning about this now,
Sure.
and trying to make my voice heard. But
Yeah.
really, like for me, it's just like I don't want to see Alderney get into a worse position than it is from a transport wise, from a
Yeah. I really hope, at best we stagnate. I can't see it getting worse because I do think you've now got a lot of there's a lot of conversation happening. There's a lot of good things happening, and people always say, "Oh, well, you just need to sort this and you just need to sort that." It's not that simple.
it's always that, isn't it? Yeah, just need to do this one thing,
Yeah,
and everything
yeah,
will become
yeah.
brilliant
If
again.
only.
Yeah,
But it isn't that simple. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's not
but
easy.
this is the thing that also kind of annoys me. It's like, I understand priorities, but then like when you've got like a team of people, and it's like, well, we only need one of you right now, and you're like, well, but why? We're all here, like,
Yeah,
and it's like. I just feel like there's a lot of people who would want to work on things if they were involved at all, and I feel like, I mean, okay, so there's a lot of like people squabbling over years and they hate
yeah,
each other because of it.
yeah,
But if you've both got skills that can help, shouldn't you put all that aside?
yeah.
It's a difficult one, isn't
Yeah, and
it?
I think the majority, I think the majority do, because they see that it's for the good of Alderney. It's not all about them. It's very, very few and far between that something like that will get in the way of moving Alderney forward or moving a particular project forward. I think that's probably one of the myths, that
Mm,
people have like these long-standing views. Yes, of course, there's always going to be, people who remember what happened to them in the school and they don't really talk to them. But I don't think it would stop anything moving on.
mm.
Because I think everyone's got Alderney at heart and wants Alderney to remain as it is at least,
Yeah, yeah.
even if it doesn't move forward.
It almost seems as well like it's easier to blame someone else than just to say, yeah, I didn't go about it the right way, or maybe it wasn't the right timing, or whatever.
Yeah,
So then you blame someone, and then someone else goes and tells someone that. Before you know it,
yeah,
Chinese whispers, eh?
yeah,
That's
exactly,
it. I'll see you in the
exactly.
Chinese then. We'll all just be sitting there. But this is what I love as well is that, you go to people's meetings, you see people getting really angry at people's meetings, and then you go to the pub and everyone's drinking together, and I'm
Yeah.
like, weren't you just shouting at him? And I'm like, that's so bizarre,
Yeah.
but we do love
That's
it, don't
but
we?
that's human nature, isn't it? Because it's in that environment and it's in that tense environment, and you've got an opportunity to say things, and you might not say it in the right way, or you get yourself emotional and invest emotionally. So that's what happens. And as long as everyone knows that, and then when you go to the pub, it's all just forgotten about, and you carry on. That's fine.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such drama. It really is drama. Like, and I don't know, I don't know if everyone wants to be in this dramatic circle, but there's plenty of people that just keep their head away from that.
Absolutely, and you won't know them.
No,
And
no,
and there's lots of people here that just go about their daily business, keep their heads down, do whatever they need to do. You won't see them. You might, see them just to say hi in the street or, whatever. But yeah, the thing about Alderney is that's the best thing about it. You can be whatever you want to be here, and people will like you. They might not like you, but no, they'll all just get on with it.
Mm,
And you can be whatever you want to be. If you want to be the one that shouts from the rooftops, be the one that shouts from the rooftops. If you want to just, put it away in your little garden and, carry on as if, life's just carrying on around you, you can. And it's great for that.
I love that. Wearing many, many hats,
Exactly.
as we all do. Well, look, Sarah Kelly, thank you so much for
No,
joining
thank
me.
you. It's been great.
Well, till next time.
Till next time, part 2.
Part 2. Thank you very much indeed.